Hello everyone, and welcome back to some more Danganronpa IF with me, Phantom Zwei, after over a year-long hiatus on this series, and I do apologize for that. But we are finally going to get back to it and hopefully finish it off. I've been told that we are close to the end, actually, so this might even be the last episode. We'll find out. But yeah, thank you guys for being patient with me, and I hope you enjoy the return to Danganronpa IF. Here we go. In the Monokuma room. As soon as the graduation exam started, the mastermind focused her control entirely on the Monokuma holding the escape button, and completely synchronized her field of vision with it. She knew what was going to happen next. She could predict what her sister, Mukuro, would do in this exact situation, where she would choose to focus her superhuman skill with weaponry. And so, through Monokuma's eyes, she watched the scene unfold exactly as she had predicted. A pointed metal bar burst through the explosions, heading straight for the weak point of the Monokuma holding the escape button. Specifically, it was aiming for the point where the bomb's detonation system and Monokuma's power source overlapped. It flew straight and true, as if it had been fired by a master archer. In order to bring despair to Monokuma, and by extension Junko as well, the super soldier known as Mukuro Ikasaba, threw the pipe like a spear so that it could attack the same weak point she had pierced in the nurse's office. As explosions filled the hallway until only fire remained visible, the spear's speed and precision as it soared to its target defied all human logic. But the mastermind knew. She knew Mukuro had used her power to fill the world with despair. Power was all that disappointing girl had, but that power was useless against Monokuma. The mastermind had predicted that Mukuro would put all her effort into that throw, and Monokuma caught the metal bar perfectly between his hands. The force of the throw knocked Monokuma back several yards, but the pointed end of the bar never pierced through his chest. Well, that was disappointing. The mastermind turned to look at a different monitor. She wanted to see the look on Mukuro's face when she realized that she had failed to strike Monokuma. The despair of seeing the final Monokuma explode right before her eyes, completely obliterating the escape button. She wanted to sear this memory of her disappointing sister's final moments as her newfound hope sank into a dark pit of despair. On instinct, she turned her attention to the surveillance camera that hadn't been destroyed, but instead of seeing Mukuro and the others, she only saw Sakura, who looked as though she had finished launching an attack. She only thought it was strange for 1 second. But then the hopelessly powerful mastermind completely understood the situation and shifted her point of view to Monokuma. But because of that single second, Junko would feel just a pang of despair. 3 seconds left. Amid the smoke, flames, and heat encircling the hallway, it burst through with the speed of a cannon shell. It glared at Monokuma with hot boiling eyes that betray the icy expression of its face. And then, sharply, swiftly, strongly, it transformed into a living weapon that cuts through everything, revealing its true form in that hall of despair. 2 seconds left. Monokuma, who was still holding the metal bar in his hands, tried to move, but at that exact moment, the living weapon carved a path through the flames and appeared before him. Its body, which had never been wounded on any battlefield, was sustaining all manners of burns and injuries. But even so, it did not falter. The fire in its eyes never flickered once. 1 second left. The living weapon, Mukuro, slammed her knee into the back of the metal bar Monokuma was holding. The sharp tip of that metal bar pierced through the Monokuma like a rail spike, shredding the detonator and his power source into pieces. Time's up. 100 explosions ceased, and smoke blanketed the hallway. Mukuro had dived into Monokuma, and the pristine escape button now rested in her hand. She and the other students of Hope's Peak Academy had passed, the graduation exam. It was only a small amount of despair. Monokuma had tasted it in only 3 seconds. Victory. First floor hallway. Junko. Mukuro looked down at Monokuma. He could no longer move or self-destruct. When she spoke to him, a static-filled voice emitted from his mouth. It seemed his communication function still worked. I never expected you to do that. He still sounded like Monokuma. It seemed his voice modulator was unharmed as well. I must have overestimated you. I never thought you'd need anybody's help on the battlefield. When I give the signal, please launch me forward with a roundhouse kick. That was not Monokuma. When I give the signal, please launch me forward with a roundhouse kick. Mukuro whispered those words to Sakura just before the explosion started. After Mukuro threw the metal bar, she jumped into the air at the exact moment Sakura unleashed a roundhouse kick. Right when Sakura's foot made contact with her own, Mukuro used the force generated by her kick to propel herself at Monokuma. Using the ultimate martial artist's superhuman attack like a springboard, she shot herself through the air like an artillery shell. Enduring intense heat, shrapnel, and blood-draining G-force, she stayed conscious as she charged through the hallway engulfed with explosions and despair. Mukuro trusted Junko. She trusted Junko to predict that she'd throw the metal bar and catch it accordingly. Then she'd try to look at her face as the despair set in. The Junko Enoshima she knew would definitely do that. Although Mukuro hadn't predicted that her sister would try to kill her with the spears of gun gear, she had a better understanding of her actions now. As Mukuro stared Monokuma in his face, all he could do was laugh scornfully. Put your life in someone else's hands for a deadly battle? I don't know how to feel about that. You'll always be a half-assed disappointment. I guess this time I'll just say I lost because I didn't see this much disappointment coming. The end? The end. Mukuro shook her head at Monokuma. No, you're wrong, Junko. Huh? If you want to talk about winning or losing, I think we lost before we even started. Mukuro's eyes shifted from side to side, as if she was unsure of something, and she fidgeted in place as she continued to talk. No matter how much despair they felt, you didn't think they'd kill each other the way they were before. That's why you erased their memories. They aren't like the others you forced in the past. You knew these students would never do it. That's what you believed, isn't it? What are you talking about? So, it's okay, Junko. I'll bring back everyone's memories someday, and I'll show you everyone's happiness, and their bonds. I'll show all of that to you, and fill you with even more despair. Mukuro nodded after she said this, as if to cheer her sister up. After several seconds of silence, Monokuma responded. You finally beat me this one time, and that lame speech is the best you can do? You're such a disappointment. You never fill me with despair. It's just constant disappointment. After pouting like a sore loser, Monokuma continued to speak in his usual tone. But you guys will be back. And when that time comes, I'll invite you guys to a wonderful place. I found out about this fun island while I was running things here. Monokuma's laughter filled the room before the static finally cut out, and his remains fell silent. He wouldn't be talking again anytime soon. The mastermind was already preparing a new despair to bring the world and its students, to the students of Hope's Peak Academy, Junko included. In the end, the mastermind stayed in her Monokuma persona to the very end, and Junko Enoshima never showed her face again. It was as if she resented the despair Mukuro had given her. That thought almost filled Mukuro with despair. But when she heard her classmates calling for her, she sealed that despair into the depths of her heart. From now on, she would seal away all her despair. And one day, when she could give Junko the perfect despair, she'll unleash all of that despair she'd stored and plunge it with her sister into the dark abyss. I won't leave... Excuse me. I won't leave my little sister alone. In the end, there was just the first hope. That was the first hope the disappointing older sister had felt since she was a child. Several hours later, main entrance. Mukuro, are you really going to go out wearing that wig? After receiving a blood transfusion of the correct blood type, Makoto was beginning to show signs of recovering. Mukuro, holding her wig to disguise herself as Junko Enoshima, nodded. If I live as Junko, I might be able to understand her better. Despite that, Mukuro's voice still sounded like her own, as if she hadn't fully decided. And I've made up my mind. While I'm out there, I've decided that I'll accept everyone's hatred towards me, and towards Junko. I can't die until I've destroyed all the despair that Junko has spread. The damage that the ultimate despair inflicted upon the world could not be measured in terms of money, culture, or even human life. Television broadcasts had already begun informing people that Junko Enoshima and Mukuro Ikasawa were the heart of ultimate despair. Among the survivors in the outside world, there are still people who hadn't been tainted by despair yet. Regardless of the fact that she released Makoto and the others, to these survivors she was nothing more than the reason the world ended. And to the terrorists wearing Monokuma masks, who continued to ravage the world, Mukuro was nothing but a traitor. She was now in the hopeless situation of being enemies with most of humanity. But Mukuro wasn't making a big deal out of it. I'm going to try not to kill anyone who comes after me for revenge. Wouldn't it be safer to just turn yourself in? Wondered Yasuhiro. Well, you might just get executed instead. But you could live to be an old lady if your trial keeps getting pushed back. Mukuro slowly shook her head at Yasuhiro. Laws, justice, these things no longer exist. Is it really that bad out there? Maybe we should just stay in here. Byakuya glared at Yasuhiro with contempt. Ignorant idiots, just shut up. Your fate won't change whether you stay in here or not. Though he was shocked to learn that the Togami Corporation had been destroyed, Byakuya continued to remain firm and proud, even towards Mukuro. You are a rare asset, continued Byakuya, so I will let you live for now. Depending on your actions, I may consider forgiving your crimes after I've built a new world. Only a Togami would boast that they were capable of forgiving a crime of ending the world. You don't need to do that. I don't plan on just surviving. After turning away from Byakuya, Mukuro looked at the other students. Everyone was reacting in their own way. Kyoko had a look of quiet preparation. Toko, having just changed back from Genocide Jack, was panicked and confused. Mukuro looked back on the 2 years she spent with them, then turned to Makoto, who shared the same memories as her, and gave him the escape button. Makoto, you press it. Huh? Me? I think it's better if you press it instead of me. As she watched Makoto accept the button with some hesitation, Mukuro thought about what Monokuma had said. You guys will be back. Mukuro knew that Monokuma was telling the truth. After all, the file the students needed to fully restore their lost memories remained hidden in the academy. The research notes of Yasuke Matsuda, the ultimate neurologist. His research is key to restoring everyone's memories. Even if the students no longer have their memories, they may be able to repair the bonds they had built among themselves over the past 2 years. But as long as their memories remain unrestored, the mastermind could still repeat her deadly plan. Although the island mentioned earlier sounded strange, the students could not turn their backs on the despair facing them. Then, let's go. Makoto remembered everything that was happening in the outside world. The boy who had chosen to remain inside the academy 2 years ago was now choosing to leave. How much did he struggle to come to that decision? But he was determined to face the despair awaiting him outside, and hid his internal conflict from the others. Just 1 second, water break. Okay. By protecting Makoto's hope, Mukuro would bring despair to her beloved sister. But she no longer knew if the end result of her goal would lead to hope or despair. She pulled the wig over her head and hid her face with her hands. Was she smiling because hope was waiting for her? Or was she crying because her path would lead to despair? When she lowered her hands, her face was devoid of all emotion. Mukuro no longer knew what expression she would wear on her face. At the same time, Makoto pressed the escape button. A siren began to wail as the turrets retracted into the ceiling. From beyond the heavy door, a bright light appeared. An infinite number of ifs, and all the possibilities contained therein, encased the world. Accepting everything, hope, despair, and even the feelings of that disappointed girl, Mukuro Ikusaba. And so they all escaped together. Wow. Alright, wow, I was close to the end there. That was... I should have finished this a lot sooner. Sorry, I had no idea we were this close to the end. I mean, I did after a while, after I was told in the comments, which thank you for letting me know that, but we finally did finish it. That was a really good, you know, I would hesitate to call it a fanfic, although it's very similar to that. Very much a side story, an if story, as, you know, the title would imply. But that was pretty great. So, what does the future hold? I am planning on starting up some new content for the channel again. We are going to start up Shining Song Star Nova. That is released actually tomorrow on GOG, so I'm going to be picking that up, and I'm going to be playing that on the channel, so look forward to that. If you're interested in a visual novel about the idol industry, essentially. I did a Let's Play of the demo back in the day. That was probably about a year ago as well. Not quite a year ago, I think, but yeah, we'll be doing that. I also have picked up the visual novel, the English visual novel, Crystalline, recently, which is another visual novel. It's sort of... the main character is transported to a fantasy world, and basically, there's one romance option in the game, which is unique, but I enjoyed the writing from the studio that did that, their last game, Ace Academy. They have some pretty silly writing with lots of laughs in it, so I'm looking forward to playing through that. And I've kept myself blind from anything past the demo of that, so I'll be playing that very soon as well. I'll probably just do Star Nova for now, because I don't want to start two series and then just stop both, as I've done in the past. So, we'll focus on one at a time. As for what we do after that, I do know I want to play some Princess Maker on the channel eventually, so that will probably be coming. I also do want to play, of course, Danganronpa V3 at some point, though that that probably won't be for a while yet. I would like to pick that up on sale when I can off of Steam. But we also, again, we have several games to get to before that. Anyway, several visual novels. Aside from that, there's still going to be Fate Go content coming up on the channel. I've got some poll videos that will be coming up in the next few days as the summer event goes live, so we'll be doing some of that. I'll actually probably be streaming some of the summer event as well. I'm hoping to have some time off in a couple of weeks, so that will hopefully give me some time to stream with you guys, as well as do some more recording, I'm hoping. I'm hoping to take about 7 days off, basically just give myself a mental break from work, but I'm not going anywhere. It's going to be a staycation, so I'm hoping to indulge some of my hobbies in that time, which would hopefully give me some time to get ahead and create a bit of a backlog for the channel. But we'll see. Also, we will, of course, be continuing streaming Lucid 9 for the foreseeable future when I feel like streaming and want to stream some visual novels. So that is going to be the go-to visual novel streaming game for the future. So yeah, that is my plans for the immediate future. Also, I had another recommendation to me from oh god, I'm just gonna call you Shad. You told me to call you something else, but I can only remember Shad right now. Yeah, a Sergey, I think. Yes, I believe it's Sergey. He recommended not Sorcery Wars. Maybe it's Sorcery Wars. Anyway, I've got it written down, so that's another title that we'll probably be looking at in the future, at the very least, just because it does look pretty interesting. So, yeah. But yeah, that's everything on my mind at the moment, at least. If you do have more suggestions, do let me know in the comments. There are some games, of course, that they're stingy about their policy for Let's Playing, so I am avoiding games like that. I would love to actually play for the channel, for example, Grisaya, the Fruits of Grisaya, Grisaya no Kaijutsu, but unfortunately, they're one of those games that are kind of stingy about letting people Let's Play them, and I don't really want to cause problems, so I'm just avoiding those games. So, this is what it is, man. So as always, thank you guys very much for watching. It's good to be back, and I'll see you all next time.